Hey Rangers, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about Power Rangers Beast Morphers episode 16, which is called the Silva Switch. Silva Switch. I reckon you just could have called it Silver and that would have been fine. But before we begin, if you like this sort of content and you want to see more, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, as well as the cheeky notification bell to be notified when more videos drop. There will be spoilers in this video, so just be careful on it. I've got to admit, this episode was actually quite fun. I generally thought that this entire episode would have just been like the same sort of thing. Like they swap bodies, they get into a lot of hijinks, and then that's it. Like that's the entire episode. Steel in Nate's body just goes amok and eats loads of things, and Nate has to come back and go like, stop it, you're abusing my body in some sort of way, you're just eating too much. Or Steel just runs off and experiences everything that he wants to and just doesn't care. But this episode was quite a nice one to kind of character build them a little bit. So I'll give you my thoughts on this. I think at the very beginning of this episode, where you see the body transfer, that you kind of think that you would have someone at the command console rather than just hitting buttons. And I generally did think at some point Ben and Betty were going to swap bodies themselves, which I think that was the sort of hijinks, but they didn't. And I was generally very surprised on this. One of the main things we'll talk about is the musical number, which I didn't see. But when like Nate is in Steel's body and he's fighting, he's a lot slower. Where where Steel is in Nate's body, it's going to get really confusing. Is actually fighting, he's a lot stronger. And I kind of think this comes down to, like, say, Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball Super training, where if you're wearing weight, your body is. So because Steel has been in his body all the time, his punches will land a lot harder because obviously Nate's body is going to be like 10 times lighter. And then when it came to Nate fighting in Steel's body, he was a lot slower because of the weight, and obviously he wasn't used to it. So I kind of like this rather than, like, say, Nate just using Steel's body and just fighting straight away. It felt a very wholesome part where it was more like Nate had to learn or would have to go through training. When you kind of see all of this, like at the very end, Steel's like, yeah, we can go surfing. And Nate's like, yeah, I can't, I want to. But I like the way that Steel just like taps on his body and goes, you've got a maintenance check. And it's just like, oh, I see what you're doing there. Like, I think it'd be kind of cool that if Nate had been giving Steel a hard time all the way through the series, that it was Steel's time to kind of return it. Okay, so I think like the best part of this entire episode is the musical number that they just randomly put in the episode. And I generally kind of thought, huh? But it made me smile. I would kind of go down the High School Musical route, something like that. But just this whole thing where Steel is just kind of like expressing his love and like, it's great to be human. You can do this, you can do that, you can, do a whole load of things. And it's just really unexpected. Everyone is dancing. I originally thought that this was going to be like a daydream sort of scenario where it wasn't going to be anything. It was just literally, like Nate has been able, or no, Steel, should I say? Again, it's confusing. Steel is able to kind of daydream and kind of imagine it, but it was an actual thing. One thing I did find funny is the fact that Roxy and Blaze were here as the human forms, not the Robo versions. And you kind of think that they would be in more of the episodes as the human sides, but I'm guessing that they didn't really want to do this. It's also kind of fun that Steel is trying like smoothies, and he really wants to try the broccoli one. I don't know why you do that, but I'm guessing it's to get kids to drink smoothies. It's like, if Steel can do it, you can eat it too. And it's just like, oh, drink it. And it's just like, ugh. But yeah, it's just, again, broccoli smoothie. It comes to the next part, and Robo-Blaze has now decided that he's got an upgrade, and he just absorbs Morph-X and he becomes a lot stronger. And you kind of think this would be a thing that they would try. Like, you can get as much Morph-X throughout the entire series as you want, but to actually have this sort of upgrade. So Roxy obviously had hers. I thought that they were going to do the same thing with Blaze, and he uses DNA and he becomes like a super fast, like powered up version. But I'm guessing that they didn't have this kind of form in Go Busters. If you know, let me know down below in the comments. So seeing all of this and seeing Blaze just take everyone out, including his like kind of robo guy that he's got. I don't know if they actually said the name for him, but just seeing that, just him take him out as well, that kind of reminded me of something like we'd seen in the past with some of the other bad guys. It's like, well, you're not used to me anymore, so you're going to be destroyed. But you kind of think that you'd have this monster stick about because he actually did do damage to the Rangers. It would be even easier to have him rather than having to create another monster at the end of the day. I did find it quite funny that Blaze turns around and says, like, who should I use my new power on? I'm going to use it on you, Devon, and then decides to attack everyone instead. Very little of Devon, and I was just like, bad guy logic right there, isn't it? Obviously with Blaze's upgrade, he's able to kind of negate the attack from like the other Rangers when Devon goes into his cheater mode to actually do the attack. He just like knocks him back, which again, I kind of like this because it's more kind of personal, because obviously when the Rangers do their attacks, they get everyone out and they go straight for it. This one just felt more like kind of like, you know, your powers, even though you've upgraded, isn't that effective. I am stronger than you. And I like that from the bad guys. It's something that we don't see that often. The next kind of part, I generally thought that Steel and Nate would rush back to the base. Their bodies are now breaking down. Everything is not working, and it starts to the point where if they don't get back soon, they'll possibly just disappear or they'll pass on, etc., etc. And I generally thought that they would have gone straight for the base, but they decided to have the Zord fight. But we've seen that you're able to control the Zords without them, or if you could bring in one giant one, like say the Beast X King, or you know, the original one, like you could easily like take down this Robotron that you wouldn't need Steel or Nate, but bring them in like or control their Zords, that sort of thing. So it kind of lasts for a bit longer. The Zord fight stays, and I was like, oh, this is a bit longer than what we're normally used to. And I generally kind of like that quite a bit. And I think like coming to the end of the episode where they swap bodies, we knew kind of like Nate would be working on turning Steel into a human and stuff like that, which would have been fine. But they're just kind of like swapping bodies back, and Nate says that he's going to turn around and say, hey, I'm going to bring back you in a human form. That's my main goal, which we will probably see at the very end. Now Steel says, hey, I thought you said this was impossible, it was very hard. And Nate's like, no, it isn't. Oh no, he says, oh, it's impossible. He goes, no, it's just hard because they want to get it right. And this to me felt like there's progression. It's not something that was kind of thrown away. You know, it's kind of like at the very end, like, oh, hey, yeah, I completely forgot about that one thing that we said we'd get you to do. So we're going to rush it. And it's like, oh, it's all done. This showed kind of progress. I think what I would have liked is after Steel turns around and says, hey, I'd like to become human, where Nate's like, okay, I'll start working on it. And you see the kind of progression, you see it happening. That would have been interesting. But for what we've got from this episode, I'm kind of more satisfied the fact that Nate's still working and not kind of, there we go, not kind of like sticking around and beating around the bush. What is very kind of interesting, I hope that you can't hear the sound, like the alarm. What I find very interesting in this particular one is when we see the cyber dimension or the crystal dimension, where Roxy is wondering, hey, how come you're so strong? How come Blaze is stronger and able to kind of beat the Rangers like this? And Scrozzle obviously knows this, and you know, Roxy wants to know. You know, she's powered up, but Blaze is stronger in this instant. And Evox is like, yes, finally, like, you know, you're living up to the names of everything. Yeah, hallelujah, brilliant. You know, little things like that. But Roxy, I think, is gonna betray him. I reckon Roxy's gonna betray Blaze, figure out, and then come into the next episode and go, oh, hey, yeah, he took your Morph X. And either Evox is going to have two reactions. One being, oh, how dare you, that's for me, blam, or I don't care, this got the job done. That is kind of it. We obviously, I've just said that, you know, Nate and Steel swap bodies, they're back in their own ones for now. And it's just kind of a nice kind of whole ending that, you know, we're going to see the final result in possibly the last two episodes, mainly the last episode. I enjoyed it. I really liked the musical number. It just came out of nowhere. So I'm thinking they wanted a little bit of fun. So I was okay on this. So yeah, I generally think this was a really good one, and it kind of leads into what we're going to find out at the very end. But yeah, I am going to leave it there. What are your thoughts on this? Did you like this episode? Did you feel that it gave you everything that you wanted? Or you kind of like, no? Let me know down below. And the sound, the alarm cuts, that's good. Yeah, let me know down below in the comments on what you think. And if you like this sort of video and you want to see more, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, as well as the cheeky notification bell to be notified when more videos drop. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, which will be tomorrow, or the one where I'm talking about my theory on Evox. Either way, I'll see you tomorrow for another review. Thank you. How do you end it like that? But yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.